everyone, it's Destiny, and today we're going to be discussing the upcoming Novaflares coming in version 4.2 and how impactful these Novaflares are. Before we get into today's video, I'd love to know if you could pick any character to receive a Novaflare, who would it be and why? Lastly, if you'd like to see some more content from me, consider subscribing to the channel, leave a like to support today's video, and now let's get straight into it. In version 4.2, 4 characters will be receiving Novaflare buffs, being Huohuo, Welt, Seele, and Firefly. Huohuo will also be going into the Golden Companion shop in version 4.2, making her a more accessible character for players. Let's begin today's video with Welt, who I would say arguably had some of the best changes. Welt's skill will now deal 4 additional instances of damage instead of 2, and when Welt hits an enemy that is already slowed, he will deal additional damage equal to 100% of his attack to that enemy. On top of that, Welt will also deal additional damage hits when using his basic attacker skill with his Trace Judgment. As for Welt's ultimate changes, he will now inflict a new debuff onto all enemies, this debuff being Weightless. When allies attack enemies afflicted with Weightless, they will be delayed by 4% up to 8 times, resulting in a total of 32%. Welt's Weightless debuff will also reduce all enemies' defenses by 40%. This is great for increasing the damage output of the team. Additionally, Welt's Trace Retribution now gives allies a 10% damage buff when attacking weightless enemies, up to 100%. For teams with frequent attackers, they'll be able to nicely benefit from this and will also be able to nicely delay enemies inflicted with weightless. I recently did a showcase featuring Welt as a sustain alongside Silver Wolf LV.999. And since the team was able to attack frequently, this resulted in enemies getting delayed multiple times to the point where we barely took damage before going into the next wave. Alongside the defense reduction inflicted onto weightless enemies, the team was able to nicely take advantage of this to deal more damage onto enemies as well. Welt's changes don't stop there though. His Trace Punishment now allows him to get an 80% attack increase by getting your effect hit rate to 80%. As for Eidolon changes, his E4 is a pretty big one. His E4 will now reduce weightless enemies' ult type resistance by 30%, and this further increases his supportive capabilities for the team. This Eidolon is a very strong one for Welt when it comes to the amp that he'll be able to provide for a team, and at E4 there's also even more potential for you to take advantage of DPS well. And as for E6, this will give Welt 30% crit rate and 60% crit damage whenever he uses his skill or ultimate to hit an enemy in the slow state. This Eidolon is useful for increasing his DPS capabilities even further, and the additional crit rate can help with making him a bit easier to build. Overall, Welt got a lot of nice changes that increased his supportive capabilities, and for those with later Eidolons, increased his DPS capabilities as well. Welt's Novaflare in particular though, shows that we can eventually get more buffed standard characters. For example, eventually we can get Yanqing Novaflare, a Bailu Novaflare, a Himiko Novaflare, and so on. It would be nice to see more of the 1.0 characters getting updated, and with Welt getting a Novaflare in 4.2, this means that it can eventually happen, and can result in standard characters becoming more relevant in the future. So personally, I find Welt's Novaflare just super exciting because of this alone, and I'm really excited to see where they go with Novaflares in the future, especially when considering 1.0 characters. Now, as for the other Novaflares, let's go over Huohuo's. When it comes to Huohuo's changes, she received an increase to her healing multiplier for her skill, and as for her Divine Provision state, now she can use her skill or ultimate to extend the duration. And when Huohuo possesses Divine Provision, allies will restore their own HP and the HP of an ally with the lowest HP at the start of their turn, or when using their ultimate. This results in 2 allies being healed now. This can help with the overall sustain of the team as long as the team acts often or is able to use their ultimates often. Huohuo will also have 3 turns of Divine Provision at E0 now instead of 2 turns. And as for her trace changes, Fearful to Act now gives Huohuo 30 energy at the start of battle and Divine Provision lasting for 2 turns. The additional energy at the start of battle is very useful so that Huohuo can use her ultimate very early on in the fight, giving more energy and more attack to your allies. As for her next trace, the Cursed One. When Huohuo uses her ultimate, if that character's max energy is 160 or higher, then Huohuo will also provide a 24% attack buff for that character, resulting in a 64% attack buff considering the attack she already gives when she uses her ultimate. As for E1, they added an outgoing healing increase of 20%, and her E1 also extends Divine Provision to 4 turns now. Overall, when it comes to Huohuo's buffs, while there are increases to her sustaining capabilities and the additional attack boosts, having something that could prevent one-shots to allies would have been very helpful. For example, some sort of damage mitigation, more emergency healing, and so on. There could have been more for Huohuo's Novaflare in particular to help with the sustainability of the team, so not seeing some sort of damage mitigation or emergency healing was disappointing in my opinion. Next up though, we have Seele. Both her skill and her ultimate multipliers increased, going from 220% to 360%, and for her ultimate going from 425% to 720%. Seele's skill also has new addition. First, Seele's speed buff from her skill will now last for 3 turns, and more importantly, after an ally attacks, including herself, if the enemy's HP percentage is 50% or below, Seele will automatically use a skill that does not consume skill points or regenerate energy. This can trigger once per Seele turn and resets at the start of Seele's turn. In modes like Pure Fiction, you can trigger this frequently, resulting in Seele being able to attack enemies multiple times in a row. This can also trigger Resurgence as well, and speaking of Resurgence, now the buff from the amplification state will last for 3 turns instead of 1. And on top of this, one of Seele's traces now has 25% quantum res pen, while in the amplification state rather than 20%. Seele's trace Nightshade also got updated. So now after defeating an enemy, Seele's damage dealt will increase by 50%, and this can stack 3 times and last for 3 turns. This trace can now give a 150% damage buff, and with the buff from the amplification state, now you can have a 230% damage buff for Seele. As for Eidolon changes, E1 now has 20% defense ignore when the enemy is below 80% HP, and as for E6, Butterfly Flurry will last on a target for 3 turns, and deal 30% true damage based on Seele's ultimate damage, and this can also trigger Seele's talent. Overall, Seele has some nice kit upgrades, and she will perform best when there are multiple enemies on the field or in modes like Pure Fiction. But she can still struggle if there's only one enemy on the field, as multiple of her Novaflare benefits still revolve around defeating multiple enemies. Lastly, we have Firefly. Starting with Firefly's enhanced skill, she will now inflict fire weakness onto the primary enemy and adjacent. This is great for other fire allies on the team to reduce enemies' toughness meters if adjacent targets weren't already weak to fire, and this works nicely with her synergy with the Dahlia. It will now give her an additional 25% break effect while in the complete combustion state, and when she uses her enhanced basic attack or enhanced skill to inflict weakness break onto an enemy, the complete combustion countdown on the action order will be delayed by 10%, and this effect can trigger up to 3 times during each complete combustion state. As for her next trace, now Firefly's super break multipliers have tripled in comparison to before, and the break effect requirements to take advantage of the super break multipliers have also decreased, making it easier now to take advantage of the full multiplier, especially with the additional 25% break effect from her previous trace. This provides a great boost overall to her damage output. As for her Eidolon changes, her E2 can now be triggered every turn, providing another great boost to Firefly for those who pulled E2. For those wondering if you should still get the Dahlia for Firefly, my answer would be yes. While Firefly is receiving new buffs, the Dahlia is easily one of her strongest partners and the character that greatly improved Firefly's performance in Endgame. Overall, when it comes to all 4 of the new Novaflares, my personal favorite is Welt, and I'm pretty excited to play him more on my main account. I do wish Huohuo's Novaflare got more, especially when it comes to the survivability of the team though. But I would love to know what you think of each Novaflare or which one is your favorite. And lastly, if you'd like to see some more content from me, consider subscribing to the channel, leave a like to support today's video, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.